Today I want to talk about this idea that roadkill might be a vegan way to eat meat. Because when I first heard of this idea, I knew that I disagreed, but I couldn't really describe why. I mean, on the surface, it kind of makes sense. Like, by eating an animal who's been killed on accident, you're not creating any demand for more animal products to be created, and you're also kind of, in a way, reducing food waste. So I guess I can kind of see how that doesn't exactly oppose vegan ideas. But whether or not this is a truly vegan practice goes a little bit deeper than that. Roadkill is the commonly used term we use to describe animals who have been killed by vehicles on the road. It is estimated that worldwide, every year, 2 billion animals are killed by vehicles on roads. In the United States alone, it's 1 million per day. The Irish News reports that roadkill was found to be the #1 cause of death in almost a third of 150 animal populations studied worldwide. In the United States alone, there are 21 species that are federally listed as endangered or threatened, to whom roadkill serves as an actual threat to their survival of the entire species. For example, 58% of fox squirrel deaths are caused by vehicles. So what I'm getting at here is that, unfortunately, if we did want to start eating them, there'd be plenty to go around. So to be clear, I don't think that there are a lot of vegans fiending for roadkill, but I do still think that this can be an interesting thought experiment that helps us see veganism through a new and different lens. So let's investigate. Would it be vegan for us to pick up one of these corpses, take them home, and eat them? So the answer is probably no. When you eat something, it shows that on some level you view it as a commodity to be consumed. If you had a pet dog and they got hit by a car, nobody in their right mind would suggest to you that you eat their body. And that's because we recognize and respect the dignity of the individual who was killed. Maybe you're saying, but I had a relationship with that animal and that's why I wouldn't eat them. Well, imagine if you were walking down the street and you found the road-killed body of a 3-year-old child. I'm guessing that you probably would not eat their body. The interesting thing here is that the intellect of an animal like a dog or even a raccoon, who are commonly killed on the roads, can be comparable to that of a 3-year-old child. So what I'm saying is that unless you would eat a person with a similar mental capacity who had been killed in a similar fashion, I don't think it's appropriate to do so with the body of an animal. To do so would be speciesist, and veganism is about being anti-speciesist. Speciesism is discriminating against somebody based on the body that they were born into. Things like intelligence and ability exist on a spectrum within and across species, and being anti-speciesist simply means that you treat all individuals of varying skill levels and intellects with dignity and respect, regardless of how they look, act, or how well you can relate to them. For example, if somebody's in an accident and they end up having a similar intelligence and ability level to, say, a pig or a cow, we don't turn them into bacon or a steak. And being anti-speciesist simply means we take this logic and apply it in reverse. Like, a human infant, for example, is not very smart, they can't do a lot of stuff, and frankly, they're pretty annoying. But we recognize that vulnerability, and instead of using that as an excuse to treat them cruelly or to exploit them, we do the opposite. It doesn't really make sense for us to recognize those same qualities in animals, and instead of doing what we do with human infants, which is to take care of them and protect them, we do the exact opposite, which is to exploit, abuse, and kill them. So unless you can honestly look me in the eye and tell me that you would eat the road-killed body of a toddler, legal and biological complexities of cannibalism aside, of course, then to say that you would do so about an animal in a similar situation means that you'd be making a judgment about their value based on the body that they were born into. Additionally, when you eat an animal outside of a life or death situation, you're signaling to the outside world that on some level, you view them as a commodity to be consumed for food. This perpetuates the narrative that animals are commodities to be consumed as opposed to individuals with a right to be treated with respect and dignity. So we learned earlier that every year 2 billion animals get killed on our roads by cars. So what can we do about this? The definition of veganism is a philosophy and way of living which seeks to exclude, as far as possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. So if as vegans we believe that we should be minimizing the amount of harm that we cause animals, I think it's important that we consider the role that we play in causing animals to be killed on roads. Okay, so why does roadkill happen? Roadkill, rather obviously, was not a thing until humans started to build roads. So roadkill is 100% a human problem. Roads cut through the natural homes and habitats of animals all across the world. And animals end up on the roads for all sorts of reasons, like maybe they're looking for food, water, or shelter. They're trying not to become prey, or they're hunting their prey. Maybe they're looking for mates. Another common problem is that the road salts that we put on roads sometimes, those can actually attract animals because salt is a vital mineral. Another issue can be that when one animal gets hit, another animal who may want to eat that animal shows up, and then that animal gets killed, and then another animal shows up to eat that animal. It's kind of a self-perpetuating cycle. Other problems caused by roads include shrinking the gene pool as well as pollution, both noise pollution and physical pollution, mainly in the form of runoff from the roads. So it's unfortunately not feasible to go car-free in lots of places all over the world. However, if you can live in a walkable city, that's great, and in general, if you can minimize the amount that you drive, that's obviously a great way to help keep animals safe from getting hit on the road. So if and when you do have to drive, the best things that you can do to keep yourself and animals safe is to always drive the speed limit and don't be distracted. Because if you're going too fast or you don't see the animal, it means that you may not be able to safely brake in time, and it puts animals and yourself at greater risk. Another important thing that I think we need to consider is that pretty much everything that we own, eat, buy, or wear is grown or made somewhere else and then is brought to us, whether that be to a store or to your house. Everything is shipped. Essentially, everything that is shipped completes at least part of its journey on a road, typically on a truck. Whether it be to a store where you'll buy it or you've had it shipped directly to your house, one way or another, it was on the road. If we can reduce our consumption by buying less stuff, we can also reduce the demand for new stuff to be made and shipped. And when you do buy something, do your best to buy it secondhand, buy it locally, or even better, both. And be mindful of what you do with an item when you no longer need or want it. But I don't think that to be vegan, we need to give up all of our material joys and comforts. After all, we didn't ask to be born into this world that has built so much of itself on exploitative, selfish, and careless systems. The problem actually comes when we create more people who are forced to interact with this inherently exploitative world. Basically what I'm saying is that to be vegan, you can still drive your car and eat and wear certain things that will inevitably cause harm to animals despite our best efforts. I believe that people who already exist have a right to a certain enjoyment and quality of life. Being vegan is about doing your best, not about being perfect. This is where I think this conversation starts to get really interesting, because I don't see a lot of people talking about this. If you choose to have a biological child, you are making a conscious decision to create another person who necessarily creates demand in a system that causes harm to others. If you choose to have a child in today's modern world, chances are they're going to want to do things like drive a car, go places, eat things, have clothes. And as we just discussed, all of those things directly contribute to animals dying on roads as roadkill. Like literally 2 billion animals every year by those kinds of activities. Just the normal stuff that you do as a person. Whereas if you don't have a child, there will be at least one less person creating demand in these systems. And frankly, probably even fewer if we consider all the children that they're not going to be having. When I, as a vegan and even before, drive down the road and see dead animals, it is starkly clear to me that I am part of the reason that they are dead, even if it wasn't my car that hit them. When I'm on a road in their homes, it is very obvious to me that by choosing not to have children, I'm decreasing the amount of vehicles on the road, and thereby decreasing the number of animals who die painful, needless deaths alone on the side of the road. If we truly care about these animals, these victims of human overexpansion into their homes and habitats, I think we seriously need to consider not having children as at least a part of the solution to this issue. For most people watching this video, I would guess that not having children, or at the very least not having more children, is a perfectly possible and practicable way to reduce the number of vehicles on the road and thereby killing fewer animals. Fewer animals dying on our roads is actually just one of the ways that reducing the human population is beneficial to animals. So to recap, no, eating roadkill is probably not a vegan thing to do. And when it comes to actually reducing the number of animals who are killed on our roads, the best things that we can do are to always drive alert and at safe speeds, reduce driving and buying things as much as possible, and consider either not having children or having fewer children to reduce the number of vehicles that are killing animals on the roads. Thank you for watching. I love talking about this kind of thing, and I would love to hear from you. If you think the video was interesting, please subscribe to the channel, and maybe send the video to somebody else who you think might appreciate it. As always, stay mindful, eat fruit, and don't multiply. I'll see you next time.